now, from the great state of Mississauga in Ontario, Canada, it's the Ted Wallachin Podcast. Brought to you by ETP Canada, providing estate administration with ease. ETP Canada. And Tom's Place, for the finest in men's fashion. Tom's Place will suit you. And now, here's Ted.
Thank you very much, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Ted Wallachin Podcast. This week, a Juno Award winner and 9-time Juno nominee, plus an American Music Award nominee. She was also an accomplished actress and producer. Her dance anthem, you'll remember the song, Boogie Woogie Dancing Shoes, placed in the top 5 in Billboard pop charts. Back in 2003, she was inducted into the Canadian Black Music Hall of Fame. She is performing at the closing night of this year's Pride of Toronto on the TD stage Sunday, June 30th, at the conclusion of the Pride Parade at Nathan Phillips Square. Welcome, Claudja Barry. I was fascinated to learn that you're one of 11 children. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm the last of 11 children. How about that?
Wow.
And my internet
The last
doesn't work.
of 11. The last of 11 children. So it was a hand-me-down. By the time it got to you, it was nothing but threads, I guess, huh?
There wasn't much left.
Was everybody in your family talented musically? Was it a musical family?
No, I think that's what I inherited from all of the ones who were in front of me. I got the music, I got the rhythm, and I got the fun. I've got the good sense of humor. Ha ha.
So you got all of their musical abilities cumulatively and wound it into one big ball, and that is Claudja Barry, right? So
Well,
every little bit of musical talent that they had all combined into you to
well,
make you as
I
great as you are.
I'm not certain that that's really how it went, but there was a lot of music in my family. I had a brother who loved Frank Sinatra, who loved Nat King Cole. He sang all the time. My mom sang, so I think that's where I got a lot of the music the appreciation for good music, because my mom loved
Right.
opera, and I heard opera at home all the time. I heard the evergreens all the time at home, so I know what good music should sound like, and I try to emulate people like Elizabeth Schwarzkopf and Leontine Price and all the wonderful artists that opera has produced over the years. So that was my big dream, to become an opera singer.
Well, and I find it fascinating that not only did you want to be an opera singer, but I mean, you studied in the summertime in New York City at Lee Strasberg Theater. I mean, that's
Yes,
some.
I went to Lee Strasberg, and after I had put my little toes into theater when I was in high school, and I thought, where else to go but to the best, and I had family living in New York. So my mother thought it would be a great idea for me to go to New York and spend summers with my family there. And I went to Lee Strasberg for a couple of years. And then later on, when I became an adult, I went to Lee Strasberg when I moved back from Europe to study seriously.
Right. Now we should point out that you left Jamaica at the age of 7 and you came to Scarborough, which for those people not familiar is the eastern part of Toronto. It's not all part of one Toronto, but it used to be a separate city. In order to get admission to study at Strasbourg, you had to have some kind of credentials or some kind of ability to prove an ability to get in. You
Well,
just don't walk in the
at
front
that
door.
time, there wasn't really a real, it wasn't as specific as it is today. And I
Mhm.
was in a junior program, so it was actually quite good that I was able to get in. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say. And when did you do your first professional acting?
The first professional acting I did was in a play called Watch no, it was The Blacks. Jean Genet's The Blacks. Do you remember the Colonnade in Toronto?
Yeah.
That's where we performed it, at the Colonnade. And that
Oh,
was
cool.
my actual first performance that I was able to say, was a successful professional mounting of a play.
Now you'd mentioned that you would after you finished high school, you moved to London, England.
Yes.
Did you move there to study music? Did you move there to study theater? Did you move for sort of a combination of both?
It was a combination of both, because the fact is, I had a sister. Well, I have a sister who is quite fabulous, who saw me and said, in a couple of things, and said, if you really are serious, you have to leave Toronto, because of
Yeah.
course, early '70s, late '60s, there wasn't really a lot of possibilities for a young black woman. Well, teenager, almost an adult, for getting really any real possibilities to jumpstart a career. So she took me to London with her and her husband, and I spent a couple of years in London. And then I decided, yes, I wanted to study music. So I moved to uh, to Vienna with my meager savings, and wanted to become an opera singer. And I started studying, and of course the money ran out, and I had to look
Mm.
for other um, areas to do work. I modeled. I did some theater things, as far as pop music. And I got a call from my agent in London and said they're doing a play. It's called Catch My Soul, and it's a rock version of Othello, which was quite a shock to me, because there I am, a sort of a novice, trying to get my footing as far as the music industry, vocal coaching, vocal learning in a different part of the world, not speaking the language. So I just said, yeah, I'll try that. Why not? And
Yeah.
it was going to pay me well. All I had to do was to be able to speak German in 6 weeks, sing, dance, and become a superstar quickly, and be a star of a show called Catch My Soul, which really became quite special, and it launched me in Europe as a singer, dancer, actress, and here I am today talking about it, and it's bringing back a whole lot of incredibly pleasant, exciting memories in my head. Thank you, Ted, for putting me in that mindset right now.
You know what? I mean, I'm thinking, if somebody says, okay, you've got to learn to sing this song in English or outside of English, the English language, and in German or whatever it happens to be, you can do so by rote, really, and not even know what you're singing. You just know that this is how the words should sound. But if you're acting in a play, you have to have a concept of what it is you're singing. You can't just be memorizing words back and forth because there's no communication there.
Well,
You
no,
had to do both.
I agree with some of what you just said, but I also believe that it's really, if you have a determined sort of soul and a very specific kind of idea about getting to where you want to get to, you're gonna make that effort to understand all of what's put in front of you, to make a program a success, and to make yourself take those steps forward in a career that you're trying to build.
Hmm. When did you first started doing backup work, backup singing? Because you sang for some very, very, very big names.
Yeah, well, when I went to London, of course I didn't know any of the moves. I didn't know the routine, but I did get an agent quickly called, uh, I think it was the Black, something Black. I can't remember it right now, but she sent me out to a lot of places, and to do any kind of singing. And in one of these auditions that I went to, I met a lady called Christine Holmes, who was a writing partner for Cliff Richard. She and Cliff
Hmm.
Richard wrote a song called Devil Woman some years ago. And
Hmm.
she took me along to a couple of sessions. Among those sessions was work for a guy called Del Newman. And Del Newman did all the string arrangements for people like Carly Simon, Rick Springfield, Elton John, and I did a lot of sessions for him. And among them were items for people like Rick Springfield and Elton John. And so I'm not sure if we ever did get to do any of the hits, but I definitely worked for some super people, including also Doris Troy at the Rainbow in London, which was also an exciting, fabulous performance for me.
This would have given you a greater appreciation of backup singers as you progressed in your own career, as opposed to many people who never have that opportunity, who start off just as singers but never work as backup, and not understanding the importance that they play in not only a recording but in a live performance as well.
Well, I was never, it was never in my mind that I would ever do stuff like backup singing, but it really was a good learning experience. And I realized that it's hard work, and you never really got the kudos that you really needed to get as a backup singer.
Let's move forward here. How did you become a founding member of Boney M?
Well,
And
Boney M,
what year would that have been?
that was in 1970, end of 74, early 75, where I was doing Catch My Soul at Theater des Westens in Berlin, and I got three offers all at once. One to be the founding member of Boney M, and one to be a standing member for Silver Convention, and then to become a solo artist. And I did start the group Boney M with two other people. And after a little while, I realized that I really wasn't a group person. I have a very distinct sound to my vocals.
Mhm.
And I couldn't join Silver Convention because, again, that was already an established group, and I wouldn't really be the recognizable person that I am today because I'd just be taking the place of Rhonda Heath, who was stepping out of the group, and also coming off the big program that I was in, uh, Catch My Soul. I attracted a lot of people who wanted me to be part of a group or to record me and things like that. But I ended up with three guys called. They had a record label called Lollipop Records, and I decided that's what I'd like. I went out, I sang for them in the studio, and it was a wonderful success. I did a song called. They needed someone to do a song called uh, Take Me in Your Arms, Rock Me a Little While by Kim Weston. And I went into the studio. I sang the song in one or two takes, and they said, "Yeah, would you like to sign with our label?" And that's how the recording of Claudja Barry's recording career started.
So this was at the beginning. Disco was beginning.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite on fire at this point, but it was getting there rapidly.
Yes, it was. I mean, Donna Summer got out a year or two before I did, but uh, yeah, the Munich sound machine was starting to uh, rack up hits with her, and Giorgio Moroder had charted the path for uh, our producers to start, and it started to catch fire in 1976, 77, and I wound up my first LP was Sweet Dynamite, and
Right.
it just started a fire, and from there, uh, I'm standing today quite happily.
And Sweet Dynamite was really it first was released as a song, and it was so popular that the discussion became, well, let's turn this thing into an album. We can do more than just this one song. So then Sweet Dynamite not only is the song, but it's also the title track for the album.
It was, yeah, it was a title track, and with that particular song, the whole album was picked up by South Soul Records, which was an indie label in America, but
Mm-hmm.
they were well known. Vince Montana was this amazing orchestra leader, producer, arranger, and formed his own label. And he picked up Sweet Dynamite, and there I was, flying from Germany to Philadelphia to record it at Sigma Studios or the Sound Factory and places like that. So it really did start my career in America.
Right. You reached out at one point and recorded a ballad called "For the Sake of Love," and I think that you referred to it as saying this song grabs you by the balls.
Well, I'm not sure if at that time I would have been able to say balls because,
I think you said it later. Yeah.
it was, but it certainly did grab you by a very sensitive part of your anatomy, and it just worked. It was so fantastic. I think I did that song in one take, and that bass line has been sampled by all kinds of people, including Germaine Montiel, that sold, I don't know, 3 or 4 million records around the world for him. And the song is still being done by various people, including the Ehrenfeld Orchestra, which is a, I don't know, 40-piece orchestra that travels, that has just made an amazing recording of that song.
Ted Woloshyn returns in a moment.
Have you been tasked with the role of a state executor or expected maybe in the future you will be? Well, if so, let me make your life a lot simpler by introducing you to my friend Debbie Stanley. Debbie is the founder of ETP Canada. They specialize in estate administration. Their goal simply is to help Canadian executors understand their role and how to deal with the loved one's estate. Let's face it, there's no school for this, but ETP Canada offers services such as executor support, estate accounting, and they have a new online course called Executor Ready. It's an engaging video designed to make estate administration easier and affordable. And those are two comforting thoughts during a stressful time. So call Debbie Stanley at 1-866 309-0387. That's 1-866-309-0387. Or you can get her at info@etpcanada.ca. That's info@etpcanada.ca.
We would do anything for our kids. What parent wouldn't? I'm just glad they're still so young, so we can speak in code in front of them. But they must wonder why we're always camping.
Don't let homelessness assumptions get in the way of homelessness solutions. Go to CanadaCanDoIt.ca. Help the Canadian Alliance to End Homelessness.
I've had the great fortune to say that I've been associated with one of Toronto's finest names in men's clothing for more than 25 years. Tom's Place. Founded by Tom Mahalick's father in 1958, Tom's Place offers brand name men's apparel at unbeatable prices. But more than that, they boast a long-serving, knowledgeable, and friendly staff that can assist you whether you're looking for casual or formal attire. And they have plenty of first-class tailors on site. In addition, Tom and his family are well known for their philanthropic work. So if you're looking to deal with great people who can fulfill your clothing desires at outstanding prices, do yourself a favor and visit Tom's Place. They're open weekdays from 11 to 6, Saturdays 10 to 5, and Sundays noon to 5. You'll find Tom's Place at 190 Baldwin in the heart of Kensington Market. Or check them out online at toms-place.com. Tom's Place will suit you. Hey, if you're enjoying our conversation with singer Claudja Barry, you might want to check out some of our previous conversations with other singers who have been on this podcast, like Jan Arden, Murray McLaughlin, Don McLean, or Andy Kim. Just go to our website, www.tedwoloshyn.ca, and you can find them all there. Woogie Dancing Shoes is a disco classic.
It's a floor pleaser, and it definitely is a classic. You can hear it. I We were in Nairobi, Kenya one year for New Year's Eve, and I went into a club. I was just there privately. I wasn't working, and there it was. We got up to dance on the dance floor, and I heard my song, I just thought, it really is an amazing feat. Music really can take you anywhere in the world.
Well, as I'd mentioned in the introduction, which you probably didn't hear, Boogie Woogie Dancing Shoes placed in the top 5 in the Billboard pop charts, which is, when you consider how much music is released on a daily basis,
Yep.
that is an incredible um, success story. It truly is. And I also mentioned that you've been nominated for 9 Juno Awards. You won the Juno Award for female artist in 1979, I guess, and also nominated for an American
American
Music
Music Award.
Award.
Yeah.
I've often asked musicians, singers, what their thoughts are on awards are in general, and the effects that those nominations and or actual victories, what they meant to their career. What did the nominations mean to your career?
Well, I'm not sure that it meant an awful lot, but it does emotionally and psychologically give you a boost to make you realize that regardless of what the general public thinks of your music, or your peers think of your music, um, there are people who have the courage and the wherewithal to hear good production, great vocals,
Hmm.
and crowd pleasing music that makes a big difference in somebody's life. And I was thrilled that I was the first Black woman in Canada to have a top 5 uh, Billboard charted record.
Wow. You should also point out as well that, going back and forth in your acting career to your singing career, that you were the first person of color to do a Pepsi commercial.
Yes, I was with Billy Van, and I really, I have a copy of that, and it just blew me away the other day. I saw it, and I'm archiving a lot of my things, and it is something quite special to see a very sort of skinny, poorly lit Claudja Barry on a Pepsi commercial, which was the first one for a kid like me from the woods of St. James, Jamaica, to do a Pepsi. I've done so many firsts. I was the first person to do a Eaton's of Canada cross country fashion show. Um, I was the first
Wow.
to get a top 5 pop record. Um, I think again, the first to sit with a prime minister on a live broadcast of a live program being streamed on CBC. So I mean, I sort of opened the door, and I walked the path of a pioneer. I mean,
I was going to say, that's a good word. Then the prime minister that you're referring to, I believe, would have been Pierre Trudeau,
yes,
and you sat with him at the Juno Awards back when the Juno Awards were done, kind of like the way the not the Grammy Awards are done right now, but the Golden Globes are done, where people sat at big tables,
yes,
and it was a dinner and then an award show attached to the dinner, right?
yes,
As opposed to just a theatrical setting, which is what it is now. There was a time that the disco, it got so hot, it was so big. I mean, so many stations started flipping formats, and consequently, there was a certain degree of disco sucks out there.
yep,
There was a guy in Chicago, a disc jockey in Chicago named Steve Dahl, who orchestrated an event at Comiskey Park, the baseball stadium in Chicago, where people brought disco records and they burned them in center field. to this day, I think to myself, why would people be so possessed? Why would people be so angered about another genre of music? If you don't like folk music, then don't buy folk music. Buy jazz, buy R&B, buy whatever you like. But why would you go out of your way to hate another genre of music? To me, that doesn't make sense at all. What were your thoughts when all that went down?
Well, the thing is, we all have our own sort of feelings about music. Now, music has been categorized as sort of it was so easy, it was so simple, but it wasn't simple. It was so fun. It brought so much joy to so many kinds of people. And in
Yeah.
essence, disco music is the platform that today's pop music is built on. Because if you listen to Katy Perry, if you listen to Madonna, if you listen to any of the heavy superstars of the day, it's all danceable music.
Right.
It's not called disco, but disco was just danceable music. Uh, I think a lot of people got offended because it was taken on by the gays um, as their music. And in essence, I am so thrilled and happy because had it not been for the gay community, I really would never have had a career. I would still be, hopefully, maybe I would have been now at the Met or something. But I love the fact that, and all of these guys, a lot of them have such style and elegance, and they just know what's right. They know how to make things look fabulous, and they enjoy life. The music, disco music, totally brought in an era where there was joy, there was carefreeness,
Hmm.
there was a way of living that made you feel life really was worth living, and music was such a big part of life back then. When you listen to the music that's happening today, it's it's really kind of sad and dark and not joyful. So I'm really happy that I was doing things at that time that made tons of people happy, and still do, and it's still working.
So I take it you must be very happy to be coming back to Toronto because you'll be performing on, as I mentioned, Sunday, June 30th. It's the closing night of the Pride week, the
Yes,
Pride month actually, and you're performing at the TD main stage, which is quite an honor. I mean, this is the Pride event in Toronto is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, in North America. So this is going to be a great feeling for you.
I can't tell you how excited I am. I'm surrounded by such negativity in today's music has no joy for me. It's the popular music, the really popular music is just really not pleasant to listen to because it a lot of the music is negative. It tells you, it makes you feel that if you're an authority figure, you're not respected. Women are not respected. They're not given any kind of. The music just isn't what it should be in a time when
Hmm.
the world is so oppressed and in such disarray. Music should be something that brings you a moment of peace, a moment of joy, a moment to feel relaxed and feel good and hopeful. There's nothing hopeful about a lot of what I'm hearing that is being called music. So I'm really excited about being a part of Pride uh, 2024. I'm very, very joyful about being the performer to hopefully uh, tear off the roof. And, it's going to give me a lot of pleasure just to be around the people who I must say thank you to, the people
Yeah.
who I must say I'm grateful that they embraced my music and embraced me as a performer and gave me the opportunity to still be able to make music in the 21st century.
Well, I'm sure you'll be, Claudia. I'm sure you'll be welcomed with open arms when you come back to Toronto. We hate to pull you away from where you are. We should point out to the people that you're on the beach in Jamaica right now. Not that I'm envious, but I am. And we hate to pull you away from there, but we're glad that you're taking the time to come back to Toronto to
Looking
perform for
forward
us.
to Toronto with open arms. I'm so thrilled. A lot of my family still lives there, and in essence, I'm in Jamaica because I needed to take a break. But my feelings of Canada will always be that the Canadians have loved my music, and they gave me the start that I needed to get started as a entertainer, performer, actor, singer. And I will always be grateful that I was there and I accomplished a lot of firsts, and
Hmm.
it couldn't get any better. I was educated in Canada, so I'm good. I'm feeling that there are times that we forget where we're coming from, and I really don't want to forget that. And that's one of the main reasons I'm here. I did do a film called Losing Paradise in Music, and that's one of the reasons why I'm embracing also where my heritage is, where I was born. But the film is about the iconic Bob Marley's legacy, his legacy of music that he left Jamaica and the world. And I
Hmm.
wanted to search out how music in Jamaica today fares with the iconic works of Bob Marley. And I must say, I was thoroughly disappointed in how music is approached and what is being said about women, authority figures, people whose sexual orientation is different from uh, theirs or ours or anyone else's, and how the music is being represented in the societal impact it has in the world of dancehall today.
Well, I want to take this time to thank you once again. I appreciate you easing away from the beach to spend a few moments with us. Have a safe trip up to Toronto. Enjoy your stay here, and hopefully we'll have an opportunity to chat in the future when you embark upon some new works.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you so very much. Have a
All
wonderful
the best
day.
to you. You too.
Bye bye.
Well, that's going to do it for another edition of the Ted Wallison Podcast. Thank you so much for joining in. Listen, we're going to introduce a new concept here. What we want to do is we want to get you involved in the podcast, like you, the listener, who's sitting there in your car, on the Go Bus, or wherever you're listening to it. That's your business, really. What we want to do is we want to find out more about you, and we want to get you on. So every week we're going to have a special guest, listener guest. Does that make sense to you? So what we want you to do is if you go to our website, www.tedwallison.ca, just send us a little note saying why you should be on. Maybe there's something that you've done in your life that you wanted to share, something you've seen somewhere that you've been, something that you want to talk about. We're not politics and not whoever those people are that always send you DMs to tell you that the government's going to give you like all this free money. We don't want to hear that. But maybe you had a brush with greatness, somebody that you met, something that you'd like to share with us, let people know who you are, something that you're doing. That might be a nice way to get to know you a little bit better. You already know about me because I'm talking, but we want to know you. So go to the website, www.tedwallison.ca. Check out the past past podcasts as well. And of course, while you're online, fill out your organ and tissue donation card because you could change or even save a life. In the meantime, you have a great week.
The Ted Wallison Podcast has been brought to you by Tom's Place. For the finest in men's clothing at unbeatable prices, it's Tom's Place at 190 Baldwin in the heart of Kensington Market. Tom's Place will suit you. And ETP Canada, providing estate administration with ease. Technical production by Paul Gatt. Music by Bike Thieves. For more on this podcast and our sponsors, and to talk to Ted, go to www.tedwallishin.ca.